Shalom, Kol Haloyim Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakudash, Shanya Kabad, Gadawala Requab, Zakonyam Nawa, Wa Shalayakim Nawa. That's the belongers to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom, Wa Barakim, La Bakaryam, Shalyasharala. That's peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. I want to jump right into this one, don't want to make it too long. We've been saying for a very long time that things, and when we say things, we just mean the world and different events, and of course as they relate to prophecy. But things are only going to intensify and get worse and worse and worse. We're not going to go back to any kind of quote unquote normal, or what everybody wants to go back to, whatever they have in their mind. Prophecy is going to continue to come to pass, and Babylon the Great will fall, and it has to fall in order for the kingdom of heaven to be established here on earth. And so I want to bring out this article. It says the O variant could bring the worst surge of C-19 yet in the U.S., Babylon the Great, and fast, it says. So basically this article is going to get into how there are different scenarios that have been created, and they're going to go into the one scenario that was brought up by that was created at the University of Texas. And so these scenarios basically show how bad or good it could get in the U.S. concerning this new O variant. And we're going to read about the most pessimistic scenario, because they say that that's a very likely scenario to happen in the U.S. And of course, fast, just like the title of this article says. So without further ado, we'll jump into this article. We'll grab some scriptures, and I pray that this is edifying to the elect. It says, how bad could the O variant surge get this winter? Until key questions about the new C-19 variant are answered, it's impossible to predict its impact with certainty. Still, several teams of scientists are using computer models to project possible scenarios for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Among the first O variant-related projections to be made public is one from the UTC-19 Modeling Consortium at the University of Texas at Austin. That group had modeled 16 O variant scenarios that cover a range of how quickly it spreads, how easily it evades immunity, and how quickly we're able to roll out those extra boosts, it says. So here we go. It says, according to some of those scenarios, the O variant wave might only intensify the Delta surge that's underway. Shouldn't have said that, but it's okay. But in the most pessimistic scenario, the O variant could trigger a tidal wave of infections that could be worse than last winter's massive surge. By around the end of January, this is the scenario, more than 500,000 people could catch the virus every day on average. Sheesh. Which is more than double the peak reached last winter, according to the most pessimistic scenario. But they're saying, as you read down in this article, we're not going to get the entire thing because it's long, and I read a little bit of more than half. They're saying that this scenario is likely. That's why the title of the article ends by saying, and fast. Now, if this happens, then for sure there's going to be another shutdown coming. And if there's another shutdown coming, they're already saying in certain places, like over here in D.C., come January 15th, you have to have at least one of those shots, I'll just say, in order to enter into different venues, public spaces, gyms, bars, restaurants. And then by February 15th, you have to have, I think they say, 2. Or just be fully maxed. You got to be fully maxed, we'll say that, in order to enter into these spaces. So now what is that going to do? It's going to basically bring down the money that's in circulation over here in D.C. And then, of course, other states are going to pick up on it as well, other places. And different businesses are not going to be able to keep up with their expenses and paying their employees and bringing in the tools and things that they need in order to sustain their business, because they're going to have a lot of people that aren't shopping. that aren't going to these places anymore. And that's going to bring the economy down. Now, you add that, now on top of that, you have more people as they're projecting to become infected, which means they're not going to be traveling. They're going to be sick, which means even less money in circulation. So there's for sure going to be some kind of a shutdown. And then the economy is going to truly be tanking. 2022 could be that year. We don't know. 2023 could be that year. All we're doing is bringing out the information, tying it in with biblical prophecy, and we're watching. We're watching. We're reporting on it as we're supposed to be doing, and we're praying. That's the most we can do. And of course, having faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That's the only way to make it out of here. So continuing on in this article, I'm going to read that paragraph again. It says, by around the end of January, more than 500,000 people could catch the virus every day on average, which is more than double the peak reached last winter, according to the most pessimistic scenario. In the following weeks, an estimated 29,800 people would be hospitalized with C-19, and 3,800 would die every day on average, according to this projection. 3,800 people would die every day on average. Now, if that happens, you know you're going to have people going crazy, losing their minds, because it's really going to hit home. I mean, I know some people that say that they don't even know anybody that has caught, or I'll say like this, they say they don't know anybody that's died from the C-19. But if this happens, it's going to hit very close. It's going to hit home. And everybody's going to know somebody that has died from it. It says the most pessimistic scenarios are scary, and we need to sort of equip ourselves to make changes, change policies, make changes, encourage more cautionary behavior if and when we start to see hospitalizations tick up in this country, Myers says. Now, you know what that means. It means there's going to be another shutdown. It's going to be another one, because they're going to say people are still walking around. They're not wearing masks. They're probably going to make some stuff up. Who knows? And then they're going to say, you know what? We have to impose these more harsh and strict measures and keep everybody at home. Let me see. That's it. That's all we're going to read on this article. Like I said, it's pretty long. But that's the main point right there. Going into that most dire situation according to these computer-generated projections. But things are only going to intensify and get worse and worse, and that's outlined very clearly here in the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 16. Starting at verse 37, it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. So the point here being in this beautiful analogy is that just as like how the birth pains of a woman when she begins to deliver or is about to deliver her child, they come forth harder and harder and faster, those contractions. That's the same exact way that the plagues are going to happen here in Babylon the Great. We already seen dire situations concerning different earthquakes around the world, tornadoes happening just about a month or two ago, maybe like a month ago, late November, early December. We're seeing the supply chain all messed up. We're seeing the beginning of famine. Certain food items are scarce right now. Shoot, chicken tenders. They're running out of chicken tenders right now. You can look that up. But things are only going to intensify and get worse and worse and worse. And that's okay. We're not reporting on these things in order to scare anybody or put fear in anybody's heart. We're putting these things out there to warn the elect, so that the hopeful elect, I'll say it like that, being humble in these times, can build up our spirits and maintain our faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Show the Lord that we believe in him so that we can be protected in these evil times, in these evil days to come as things intensify. That's why we bring these things out. This is prophecy. We have to report on it. I want to grab the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 12. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." And as things intensify and get worse and worse, this is also something that we're going to see as well. We're going to see family turn against other family members, friends that you thought you were super close friends with, people you thought that were saying that you said would never change on you. Those are your day ones. We're going to see their love towards you, potentially towards you, wax cold. Why? Because the cities are going to be troubled. There's going to be famine. People are going to be in a state of fear, in a state of confusion, not knowing what's going on. And then, of course, that's where their love is going to wax cold towards you. And iniquity is most definitely going to abound. This world is going to get more and more evil, more and more unrighteous. It's going to become more and more satanic. But once again, that's all right as well. All that is okay. All that matters is that we, as the hopeful elect, continue to have faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and keep doing his work unto the end. The scriptures say to strive for the truth unto death, and guess what? The Lord shall fight for you. We have to keep those scriptures in mind and hold it dear unto us. I do want to grab one more scripture. There was one other scripture that was in my head. Give me a sec. I was trying to remember if I just wanted to jump right into Revelation 13 or if there was anything else. It's all right. It's not hitting me, so I will just jump over to it then. As things intensify, then of course, this is the end-all, be-all. This is the end game for Esau, Edom. This is where he's striving to bring everything. And of course, it's going to happen through gradualism, as we see with this whole C-19 and forcing people to take these vaccinations. I've got to say it like that for that YouTube algorithm. Forcing people to take these vaccinations and the world getting worse and worse and businesses potentially shutting down and there being another potential shutdown in general. Then this is where Esau wants to take it. And we have to keep this in mind as well. Revelation 13, verse 16. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond." So everybody, everyone. This does not just pertain to businesses as a certain camp has taught in the past. No, this pertains to everyone. Free and bond. How can a business be free or bond? This is talking about people, everybody, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that mark is, of course, charagma, and that's referring to the RFID chip. "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." And I'll read the last verse. "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And that number represents the vibration that Esau, Edom, will be bringing in these end days. If you're spiritual, you know that that number is just everywhere. The brother Yeshaya, when he was speaking yesterday over here in DC, he brought up something. I mean, I didn't even think about it, but when you first hear it, you're like, oh, it makes a lot of sense, but you don't think about it. Out of all the numbers in the world, out of every single number, I mean, it could have been 5, it could have been 7, but they chose 6 to be the number for the distance that you have to stay apart from somebody in order to remain safe from receiving or contracting the C-19. 6 feet. Stay 6 feet apart out of all the numbers in the world. Why that one? I mean, if you're a spiritual person, then these things should be resonating with you, and you should be saying, okay, it's not just a coincidence. That's what a carnal man would say. This is just coincidence, or they'd say that you're reaching. I'm reaching, but here we are reading it, and here we are staying so-called 6 feet away so that we don't contract this variant. Coincidence, or I don't know, maybe it's a spiritual connection. I'll leave that up to you to decide. But as we get worse, or the world rather gets worse and worse and intensifies, and these plagues continue to draw nigh, then this is Esau's game plan right here. This is his end game. And what you call it, the World War III and the missiles, they're not going to happen until this charagma is forced down people's throats, and they're taking it left and right, and Esau brings his so-called order out of chaos in order to try to implement this. So this is the end game. I definitely wanted to show this as we talk about how the world is going to transition, because that's Esau's game plan. That's his NWO. So I pray that this video was edifying to the elect. Call Halayim, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakudash, the belongers to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.